Ah, Niccolò Machiavelli. To speak his name is to summon not merely a man, but an entire way of interpreting the world. He is not remembered as a poet of the heart, nor as a dreamer of lofty ideals. He is remembered as a surgeon of power, slicing through illusions with ruthless precision, exposing what lies beneath the masks that society teaches us to wear. To speak of him is to confront ambition without disguise, desire without romantic varnish, and human nature without mercy. Now imagine for a moment, what this Florentine thinker, author of The Prince, that burning manual of hard truths, would say about something as personal and delicate as the choosing of a woman. Can you picture it? He would not talk of flowers, of destiny, or of soulmates. No. Machiavelli would enter the subject not as a poet, but as a strategist. Not with his heart, but with his calculus. For him, the world is not a painting where one delights in beauty. The world is a battlefield, a theater of endless rivalry, where men and states constantly struggle to acquire, to preserve, and to expand their dominion. Everything must be measured against that struggle. Every ally, every choice, every risk must serve a purpose in this fight for stability and advantage. And so, the choice of a woman cannot, in Machiavelli's eyes, be reduced to charm, to attraction, to the fleeting intoxication of passion. The choice of a woman, he would say, must be a strategic alliance, a decision weighed on the scales of prudence, advantage, and survival. Pause for a moment. Let that idea sink in. Think of the modern world, where every magazine, every movie, every song pushes a picture of romance as an untamed fire, as love at first sight, as surrender to feeling. Yet here stands Machiavelli, centuries ago, whispering in your ear, do not be deceived. Feelings are fickle. Beauty is fleeting. Love is as unstable as fortune herself. He tells you, the question is not what does your heart feel, but what does her presence do to your life? Does she add to your strength or invite ruin? Does she bring balance into your world or fracture it? Because here is the first truth. A man's life is nothing but a campaign, a continuous series of battles, retreats, advances, and defenses. And in that campaign, every person close to him either fortifies his position or undermines it. So what qualities does Machiavelli demand of this chosen partner? The first is prudence. A woman lacking foresight, guided by impulse or swept by storms of uncontrolled emotion, is not simply difficult. She is dangerous. Her recklessness becomes his vulnerability. For just as a ruler cannot surround himself with foolish counselors, a man cannot bind himself to a companion who acts without wisdom. A prudent woman, by contrast, is a quiet fortress. She is not loud in her influence, but her presence is profound. She becomes an anchor in chaos, a steady hand during the storms of life. Her judgment can see past temporary pleasures and fleeting excitements. She understands that novelty fades, while stability endures. Without such prudence, disasters multiply in silence. A careless word leaked to the wrong ears, an outburst of emotion at the wrong moment, the inability to weigh long-term consequences over short-term gratification. All of these can unravel the careful order of a man's life. And Machiavelli warns, once disorder begins, fortune rushes in and ruin is swift. The second quality demanded is loyalty, though not loyalty in the sentimental sense that poets sing of. Machiavelli never trusted sentiments, and he would not hear. He knew that men are ungrateful, fickle, driven by their own interests, and women are no less human. To expect blind devotion is to live in fantasy. What matters is loyalty as shared interest, as alignment of mutual survival and gain. In other words, does she see her future as inextricably tied to yours? Does she recognize that in your stability, her own stability flourishes? True loyalty, Machiavelli insists, cannot be built upon emotion alone, but upon the recognition of a binding alliance. Because beware the opposite. Beware the one whose loyalty is shallow, who sways with flattery or material temptation, who longs for higher status or greener pastures. Such a woman will betray you not with malice, but with casual indifference when fortune changes course. She will abandon you when adversity comes because her loyalty was never to you. It was always to opportunity. And Machiavelli, thinker of human weakness, warns his prince, "The people will love you in times of peace, but will desert you in times of danger, unless fear or shared interest holds them." The same is true in intimacy. Sentiment alone is fragile. Only strategic loyalty endures. And then comes another test. Discretion. Here lies one of the most underestimated yet vital qualities. For power in any form lives upon reputation, upon the silent strength of what is concealed and what is revealed. And a woman who cannot master her tongue, who delights in gossip, who airs grievances or shares secrets lightly, is no less than a crack in the wall of your fortress. Through that crack, enemies will enter unseen. Machiavelli reminds us that states collapse as much from whispers as from armies. And in personal life, it is the same. The careless word, the ill-judged confession, the inability to maintain the boundary between private and public, these weaken authority, destabilize the household, and invite rivals into one's inner sanctum. A discreet woman, by contrast, is priceless. Her silence is a shield more valuable than affection expressed in public gestures. And then we arrive at fortune. Fortune, Machiavelli's eternal metaphor. He portrays her as a woman, capricious, wildly unpredictable, demanding boldness to be mastered. She can be kind, but only for a moment, before her nature pivots like the wind. So here the question arises. When you choose your woman, is she merely another personification of fortune, an unpredictable storm you must constantly restrain, or is she something else? Is she possessed of virtue, that rare strength of spirit, the resilience to endure hardship, the adaptability to navigate change, the courage to face adversity without collapsing? Because beauty fades, fortune shifts, but virtue endures. A woman without it will drain you, will crumble at the first serious test of life. But a woman with it will be your ally in the battle against fortune herself, actively participating in the navigation of life, not as weight, but as counterbalance. She becomes not another variable in the chaos, but a stabilizer against it. Consider, too, her family. Machiavelli would never ignore this, for blood ties are alliances by another name. A powerful family can bring influence, favor, and network, but it can also bring obligations, rivalries, and dependency. A weak family may offer fewer benefits, but also fewer dangers. One must weigh carefully. Will her kin be allies in times of need, or a constant drain upon resources? Will they strengthen the fortress, or secretly weaken it from within? And finally, harmony. This is not about tyranny, but about alignment. A household torn by endless conflict becomes a war front, draining energy that must be reserved for life's external challenges. Machiavelli would say, just as a prince must control his subjects to preserve his state, so too must a man preserve order within his home. This is not cruelty, but pragmatism. Harmony multiplies strength, discord eats at it from within. Step back and look at this philosophy as a whole. It is not romantic. It does not flatter. It does not tell you to follow your heart. It tells you to guard your future. For a man who selects based upon sentiment alone is a man who abandons his fortifications to plant gardens. Beautiful? Perhaps. But dangerously exposed when the storm inevitably comes. Machiavelli's lesson is simple but cutting. Life is a struggle. Stability is rare. Advantage must be seized and preserved. Every bond, every single one, either strengthens or weakens. Choose wrongly, and you invite ruin. Choose with prudence, loyalty, discretion, and virtue before you, and you build not merely a relationship, but a fortress against the unpredictability of fortune itself. And as you listen, reflect on yourself. When you look at your own choices, are you guided by romance, by the whims of attraction and chemistry? Or are you guided by far-sighted calculation, understanding that your inner alliances shape your outer strength? Because in the end, a man's peace, his focus, his credibility, his very ability to act in the world are inseparable from the nature of those closest to him. That is Machiavelli's warning, and it is also his weapon. Let's bring this down from the palaces of Florence into the streets, apartments, and offices of daily life. If the first part was the map, this is the terrain. What does prudence, loyalty, discretion, and virtue look like in the real world? How does a man actually choose, with eyes open, without self-deception, in the arena of modern relationships? Prudence in daily life. Scenario 1. The spending test. You're planning a move or saving for a project. She pushes for impulsive travel, designer purchases. We only live once energy, especially when finances are tight. A prudent partner doesn't kill joy, but sequences it. She asks, what's the plan? What's the trade-off? She aligns lifestyle with goals, not goals with lifestyle. That is prudence in action. Scenario 2. The calendar test. Emergencies happen. A sick parent, a client crisis, a sudden bill. A prudent woman recalibrates calmly, reschedules, helps, shields your time when it matters. An imprudent one escalates drama, competes for attention, and multiplies chaos. One preserves order, the other dissolves it. Scenario 3. The boundary test. She respects professional boundaries. No surprise drop-ins at work, no emotional texts in the middle of a sales pitch, no public scenes. Prudence isn't cold, it's protective. It protects reputation, focus, and momentum. Loyalty as aligned interests. Scenario 4. The opportunity test. She gets attention from higher status circles, DMs, invitations, subtle offers. Does she treat it as flattery to be managed or as a ladder to climb away? Loyalty is not just not cheating. It's refusing to flirt with disloyal incentives. It's closing doors that undermine the alliance. Scenario 5. The adversity test. When business slows, when you lose a deal, when critics appear, does she distance herself, grow cold, or quietly stand closer, reinforcing morale and routine? Many love sunshine, few love winter. In winter, alliances are revealed. Scenario 6. The ambition test. Her ambitions don't require your diminishment. She doesn't need you small to feel big. She wants the alliance strong, not the scoreboard tilted. That is alignment, not competition disguised as love. Discretion in a loud age. Scenario 7. The group chat test. Does she leak private disagreements to friends, family, or social media for validation? Or does she handle internal matters internally? One creates a public theater, the other protects the citadel. Discretion is not secrecy, it's governance. Scenario 8. The dinner table test. Around others, does she subtly undermine you with sarcasm and jokes that expose private flaws? Or does she uphold dignity in public and confront directly in private? Discretion is a strategy for long-term respect. Scenario 9. The crisis test. After a conflict, does she vent online, subtweet, or post cryptic stories? A discreet partner resists performative communication. She knows that attention is a currency and she doesn't exchange your privacy for it. Virtue. Resilience you can measure. Scenario 10. The health shock. A health scare hits, hers, yours, or a parent's. Virtue appears in logistics, appointments, meals, notes, calm. She acts. She adapts. She does not collapse into helplessness and make the situation about her emotions. Scenario 11. The Plan B reflex. Flights canceled, deal delayed, plans derailed. She moves to Plan B without dramatics. Okay, here's the alternative. Virtue is adaptability under pressure, not theatrical suffering. Scenario 12. The growth habit. She reads, learns, adjusts. When given feedback, she calibrates, not retaliates. Virtue is not pride, it is capacity. It grows under stress. Family and alliances, hidden costs, real benefits. Scenario 13, the obligation map. Her family pulls constantly. Money, time, drama, sudden emergencies. Are you marrying into a second household of demands? Or is her family a stabilizing force with boundaries and reciprocity? Alliances either add load or create lift. Weigh this with cold eyes. Scenario 14. The loyalty crossing. When her family disrespects you, does she hold the line with grace or triangulate and leave you exposed? A partner who cannot defend the alliance against her own family will not defend it against anyone. Scenario 15. The network test. Do her connections open genuine doors or merely invite shallow status games? An alliance should increase strategic options, not multiply distractions. Harmony. Governance at home. Scenario 16. The debate pattern. Disagreement is inevitable. Does it spiral into contempt and scorekeeping, or resolve into decisions and next steps? Can she end a conflict cleanly? The inability to conclude is a tax on the future. Scenario 17. The time shield. She respects deep work. She can postpone non-urgent issues until after deadlines. She doesn't test love by interrupting duty. That discipline is a form of love. Pragmatic, protective, adult. Scenario 18. The ritual of repair. Arguments end with actionable repair. A walk, a checklist, a plan. No prolonged Cold Wars. Harmony is not the absence of conflict. It is the effective resolution of it. Red flags through the Machiavellian lens, chronic impulsivity framed as passion, public humiliation disguised as humor, entitlement to your time during mission-critical windows, social media performance during private conflict, attraction to chaos, unstable friends, unstable exes, unstable stories, competitive framing. She needs you diminished to feel secure. Green flags you can verify calm logistics under stress. Thoughtful spending and saving aligned with shared goals. Respect for reputational boundaries. Private stays private. Future orientation. Plans, not vibes. Calendars, not wishes. Reciprocity. When you carry weight, she looks for what she can lift. How to test without tests. Live small missions together. Plan a modest trip with constraints. Budget cap, tight schedule, unfamiliar city. Watch how she navigates fatigue, errors, unexpected changes. You will see prudence, loyalty, discretion, and virtue in high resolution. Share a goal with a timeline, a savings target, a fitness milestone, a launch date. Can she synchronize habits to an objective without resentment? Can she sustain rhythm? Or does she sabotage deadlines and then ask for understanding? Observe her ecosystem. Friends, mentors, online influences. People either train us in stability or in chaos. Who trains her? What to say when it matters. On prudence. Let's align lifestyle to strategy. Here's the plan, the numbers, the milestones. Watch whether she engages the plan or resists structure. On loyalty, our interests must be tied. What benefits both of us? What do we refuse together? Alignment is built sentence by sentence. On discretion. Private matters stay private. If we need counsel, we choose one or two trusted advisors, not an audience. This is policy, not preference. On virtue. Pressure comes. We adapt fast, act calm, and move forward. Virtue grows where standards are clear. A closing parable for the modern ear. Two men choose. One chooses fireworks, dazzling, noisy, thrilling. His nights are bright, his days become smoke. The other chooses a lighthouse, steady, quiet, resilient. His nights are illuminated, and his ships return. Fireworks impress crowds. Lighthouses save lives. Choose accordingly. Final frame. In a world that rewards spectacle, Machiavelli rewards structure. Beauty fades, attention shifts, fortune turns. What endures is alignment. Prudence is policy. Loyalty is shared interest. Discretion is security. Virtue is capacity under pressure. Choose the partner who multiplies your ability to act. Build the fortress first. Plant the gardens inside the walls. If this helped cut through noise and clarify the signal, keep this dialogue alive. Comment with the scenario that hit hardest, and share this with someone who confuses fireworks for lighthouses. The alliance we keep in private determines the power we carry in public.